They weren't just women. They were fire wrapped in silk. The golden age of Hollywood gave us goddesses so dangerously beautiful that one glance could melt the screen. Their lips whispered sin. Their eyes promised secrets. Their bodies carried the kind of heat Johnny Carson could barely contain. These weren't ordinary guests. They were nymphos draped in diamonds, setting his late-night stage on fire. And behind the laughter, scandals brewed that nearly tore the show apart. Tonight, we pull back the curtain on the forbidden legends. If you crave more untold stories like this, hit subscribe now and tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? Number 1. Jayne Mansfield, the blonde bombshell. Jayne Mansfield wasn't just a guest on The Tonight Show. She was a publicity stunt in human form, and Johnny Carson's carefully controlled stage was her ultimate target. He, a master of control, would have seen her as the ultimate professional provocateur. Her entire persona was an act of calculated chaos, designed to steal focus and send the network censors into a full-blown panic. She would arrive on set in dresses that seemed engineered to fail, creating wardrobe malfunctions that were anything but accidental. Her high-pitched giggle and breathless Marilyn on steroids delivery weren't signs of foolishness. They were weapons of mass distraction, designed to disarm and create an atmosphere of pure, sexual anarchy. An interview with Jayne wasn't a conversation, it was a tightrope walk over a pit of potential FCC fines and network outrage. She didn't destroy the show with anger or diva-like demands. She did it with an overwhelming, sugary wave of pure, weaponized sexuality that left Johnny looking like the only sane man in an asylum, a ringmaster who had completely lost control of his own circus. She was, in every sense, a beautiful, glorious nightmare for a man who prized order above all else. It was a masterclass in chaos. We expose these kinds of calculated Hollywood games in every video. To get the inside story, make sure you're subscribed. Number 2. Mamie Van Doren, the rebel starlet. If Jayne Mansfield was a calculated performance of chaos, Mamie Van Doren was the real, dangerous article. She was the rock and roll alternative in the holy trinity of 1950s blondes, cultivating a tough, rebellious image that felt far more authentic and therefore far more threatening. On Johnny Carson's carefully manicured stage, she would have been a handful. While Jayne played a character, Mamie was the character, and her blunt, defiant honesty was a direct assault on the light, entertaining atmosphere of the show. She spoke openly about her disdain for the studio system, her numerous lovers, and her unapologetic lifestyle. For a host like Johnny, who thrived on witty, pre-planned banter, a guest like Mamie was the ultimate wild card. She wasn't there to charm him with cute anecdotes. She was there to challenge him, to see if the king of cool could handle a dose of raw, unfiltered reality. The danger she posed wasn't that she would take her clothes off, it was that she would metaphorically strip the entire industry bare, right there on his stage. And that was a kind of nudity the network, and perhaps Johnny himself, was truly terrified of. She was a beautiful grenade, and nobody knew when she might pull the pin. Her story raises a classic Hollywood question. Where is the line between being a fearless rebel and being self-destructive? Let me know your thoughts. Rebel or wreckage? Number 3. Ursula Andress, the Bond beauty. Then there was a different kind of threat. Not the threat of chaos, but of a quiet, overwhelming power. Ursula Andress walked onto Carson's stage not just as an actress, but as a global event. As the original Bond girl, she embodied a new kind of potent international sexuality that American audiences were not prepared for. Her accent, her exotic beauty, and the sheer confidence that came with being a world-famous icon made her different. An interview with her wasn't a chat, it was an audience with a goddess. Johnny, the cool American, often seemed genuinely captivated, almost intimidated by her European mystique. The danger she posed wasn't what she might say, but the palpable sexual tension that filled the studio the moment she appeared. It was a force so powerful it could derail the conversation without a single word being spoken. She could silence an entire audience with a single, smoldering look, a power that momentarily took control of the show away from its king. She proved that the most dangerous guest isn't always the loudest. Sometimes it's the one who can command a room in total, breathtaking silence, leaving the host as just another one of her captivated subjects. That kind of power was a rare sight. We specialize in uncovering the stars who secretly held all the cards. If you want more tales of power and seduction, you know what to do. Hit subscribe. Number 4. Elke Sommer, the German enchantress. Elke Sommer was a frequent guest on The Tonight Show, and Johnny clearly adored her. But she represented a specific and exhilarating kind of danger, the European intellectual bombshell. She wasn't just another beautiful face. She was a razor-sharp intellect, a talented painter, and spoke 7 languages fluently. She could engage in clever banter that was often filled with a very European, sophisticated level of innuendo that pushed the boundaries of American television. For Johnny, a master of the quick comeback, an interview with Elke was a high-wire act. He had to be at the absolute top of his game, both to keep up with her agile mind and to navigate her disarming, flirtatious charm. The threat she posed was not one of chaos, but of intellectual dominance. She was one of the few guests who could genuinely outwit him, turning his own questions back on him with a playful, intelligent smirk. The show wasn't destroyed by her antics, but the premise of Johnny being the undisputed smartest person in the room was momentarily shattered. He wasn't just interviewing a starlet. He was sparring with a formidable equal, and the thrill for the audience was watching him work to keep the upper hand against the brilliant German enchantress. It was the ultimate combination. So let me ask you, what do you find more captivating in a star, breathtaking beauty, or a genius-level wit that can't be beaten? Let me know. Beauty or brains? Number 5. Claudia Cardinale, the Mediterranean siren. Claudia Cardinale brought a different kind of chaos to the stage. The warm, earthy, and utterly unpredictable energy of the Mediterranean. Unlike the cool blondes of Hollywood or the intellectual wit of Elke Sommer, she was a siren with a husky voice and a fiery, passionate presence. Her English was often charmingly imperfect, a beautiful tapestry woven with Italian cadences. This created moments of genuine, unscripted comedy and, for a tightly scheduled show, moments of pure, delightful confusion. An interview with her couldn't be planned. It had to be survived. It could veer wildly off script at any moment, not out of malice or a desire to shock, but because of the sheer, untamable force of her personality. She didn't answer questions with a neat anecdote. She answered with her whole body, with passionate gestures and bursts of laughter. For Johnny, the master of control, she was a beautiful storm. She threatened to blow his carefully planned segment off course, not with vulgarity, but with an overwhelming wave of authentic, passionate life. She was a living, breathing reminder that the best moments on television are the ones that are beautifully, gloriously unplanned. These unscripted moments are what make history. Our channel is dedicated to these unpredictable stories. To join the conversation and see them all, hit that subscribe button. Number 6. Brigitte Bardot, the wild French rose. Brigitte Bardot was more than a star. She was a cultural revolution, and she represents the most profound threat of all, the one who was too dangerous to even invite. While she rarely, if ever, appeared on American talk shows, she was the ghost that haunted every conversation about sexuality and scandal. Carson would have seen her as the ultimate symbol of a woman who lived by no rules but her own, a level of freedom that was simply incompatible with the constraints of American network television. Her name alone conjured images of scandal, unapologetic nudity, and a complete and total disdain for convention. She destroyed the show's premise simply by existing. Her untamed lifestyle and frank sexual liberation made even the wildest antics of Johnny's other guests seem tame by comparison. Why would he grill Jayne Mansfield about a wardrobe malfunction when Brigitte Bardot was sunbathing topless in Saint-Tropez without a care in the world? She was the unspoken benchmark against which all other bad girls were measured. She was the one hurricane Johnny knew he could never hope to contain, the beautiful, wild rose that was best admired from a very, very safe distance. Her influence was undeniable. But was Brigitte Bardot a true pioneer of female liberation, or was she simply a product of her time, a fantasy created by the culture around her? Pioneer or product? Let's discuss. Number 7. Nathalie Delon, the French temptress. Nathalie Delon possessed a different kind of danger, the chilling, magnetic power of silence. Known for her tumultuous and often violent marriage to the French superstar Alain Delon, she carried an air of lived-in mystery, of secrets kept and scars hidden. On Johnny Carson's stage, she wouldn't have been a bubbly, talkative starlet. She would have been an enigma. Her quiet, almost feline confidence and her piercing, intelligent gaze would have been a formidable challenge for a host who relied on the give and take of conversation. Johnny was a master of drawing out his guests, of making them feel comfortable enough to share a juicy anecdote. But a woman like Nathalie, who guarded her secrets like jewels, could destroy a segment by simply refusing to play the game. She would answer questions with a mysterious, knowing smile rather than the soundbite he was looking for. The danger she posed wasn't chaos, it was control. She was the one guest who could turn the tables, making the master interviewer feel like he was the one being analyzed. Her power wasn't in what she said, it was in the thrilling, terrifying abyss of what she didn't say. These hidden stories are the most compelling. If you believe the real story is often the one that isn't told, this is your channel. Make sure you're subscribed. Number 8. Anouk Aimée, the enigmatic diva. If Nathalie Delon was a personal enigma, Anouk Aimée was an artistic one. She was the ultimate art house diva, a symbol of a sophisticated, intellectual European cinema that was miles away from the Hollywood blockbuster. Her allure wasn't just sexual, it was cerebral, wrapped in layers of ambiguity and artistic integrity. For Johnny Carson, a host whose success was built on connecting with the American heartland, a guest like Anouk was a genuine risk. Would the mainstream audience understand her? Would they connect with her quiet, introspective nature? The threat she posed wasn't that she would be vulgar or loud, it was that she would be too refined. Her brand of quiet intensity and artistic seriousness could come across as cold, distant, or even pretentious to an audience accustomed to broad comedy and easy charm. She could destroy a segment not with chaos, but with a refined, high art sensibility that could alienate the very people Johnny was trying to entertain. She was a beautiful, complex foreign film in a world of simple, three-act television. A gamble that could either be a moment of breathtaking class or an awkward, unbridgeable silence. It raises a fascinating question about star power. What's more powerful on screen, an explosive, in-your-face charisma, or a quiet, magnetic mystery that pulls you in? Explosion or mystery? I'm curious to see your take. Number 9. Marilyn Monroe, the eternal icon. And then there's the one who was too big, too tragic, and far too dangerous for any talk show couch. Marilyn Monroe was never a guest on The Tonight Show, and that is precisely why she belongs on this list. She is the ultimate symbol of a woman who would have destroyed the show, not just for a segment, but possibly forever. By 1962, she wasn't just a movie star, she was a walking, talking national security crisis. Her vulnerability, her addictions, her increasingly erratic behavior, and her explosive connections to both the Kennedy White House and the Mafia made her the most volatile celebrity on the planet. Imagine the sheer terror for the network. What might she say? What secrets might she let slip, either by accident or design? An interview with Marilyn wouldn't have been a light-hearted chat. It would have been a high-stakes interrogation with the entire world watching. Johnny Carson was a savvy survivor in a brutal industry. He and his producers likely knew that Marilyn was not a guest to be managed. She was a beautiful, tragic liability. Her profound absence from his show's history is the most telling evidence of all. She was the one hurricane Johnny knew he could never hope to contain. The golden age was never innocent. Beneath the shimmering gowns and champagne smiles lived a world of danger, temptation, and secrets too hot for daylight. Johnny Carson's stage was more than laughter. It was a battlefield of desire where these nymphos nearly burned down his empire. Their stories remind us that beauty is power, fame is fragile, and behind every spotlight hides a forbidden shadow. And this was only one chapter. The next tale is darker, wilder, and even more forbidden. Don't let it slip away. Subscribe now so you never miss a secret reveal. Click the next video waiting for you and share in the comments. Which Golden Age goddess set your imagination on fire tonight? And where in the world are you watching from?